If I gave you two choices today, be physically powerful or mentally untouchable, which would you choose? Most people would choose strength. I wouldn't. I have seen strong men collapse under pressure, while ordinary people achieved extraordinary things because their minds refused to surrender. A powerful body may win a fight, but a powerful mind wins a lifetime. That is why I chose to train my mind before anything else. When your thoughts become disciplined, your emotions obey you instead of controlling you. When your focus remains steady, distractions lose their power. And when your mind cannot be shaken, neither can your life. Today, I want to share the principles that help me build that kind of mind. Because the greatest opponent you will ever face is not standing in front of you. It is the version of yourself that still gives fear the final word. Many people believe that becoming dangerous means becoming more aggressive, louder, or more intimidating. I learned that this is an illusion. The person who cannot control his own emotions is already defeated before any battle begins. If anger controls your actions, fear controls your decisions, or pride controls your judgment, then your life is no longer guided by wisdom, it is guided by impulse. True strength begins the moment you stop allowing your emotions to command your mind. Think about the moments when someone insults you, doubts you, or tries to provoke you. Most people react immediately because they believe every challenge deserves a response. But every unnecessary reaction gives another person power over your peace. Why should you hand over control of your mind so easily? A calm mind is not a weak mind. It is a disciplined mind. It understands that silence is often more powerful than argument, and that patience can achieve what anger never will. Self-control is not something you are born with. Like every skill, it is developed through daily practice. Each time you choose to pause before speaking, breathe before reacting, or think before making a decision, you strengthen your mind. These small moments may seem insignificant, but over time they become the foundation of extraordinary mental strength. Discipline is not built during easy days. It is built during the moments when every emotion inside you demands an immediate reaction, yet you choose wisdom instead. I discovered that mastering yourself is far more difficult than defeating another person. Anyone can fight an opponent, but very few people are willing to confront their own impatience, ego, fear, and insecurity. That is the real battlefield. The greatest victory is not proving your strength to the world. It is proving to yourself that nothing outside of you can control what happens within you. When you begin to master your thoughts, your emotions stop becoming your master and start becoming your servant. Pressure no longer clouds your judgment. Criticism no longer steals your confidence. Failure no longer defines your identity. Instead of reacting to life, you begin responding with clarity, purpose, and confidence. This is where true freedom begins. Never mistake self-control for weakness. The strongest warrior is not the one who strikes first. The strongest warrior is the one who remains calm when others lose themselves, who thinks clearly when others panic, and who protects his peace instead of wasting it on every distraction. That is the first step toward building a dangerous mind, because before you can master anything else in this world, you must first master yourself. Every person carries a voice inside the mind that is constantly speaking. The question is not whether that voice exists. The question is whether you control it, or whether it controls you. For many people, that voice becomes their greatest enemy. It whispers that they are not ready, not talented enough, not strong enough, or that failure is waiting for them if they dare to try. If you listen to it long enough, you begin to believe it. Before long, you stop chasing opportunities, avoid challenges, and slowly build a life around fear instead of purpose. I learned that the greatest obstacle is rarely standing in front of you. More often, it is living inside you. It is the voice that searches for comfort instead of growth, excuses instead of discipline, and certainty instead of courage. It convinces you to wait for the perfect moment, but perfection never arrives. Every day you obey that voice, it becomes stronger, while your confidence becomes weaker. That is how potential disappears, not because of a lack of ability, but because of a lack of action. The first step toward building a dangerous mind is recognizing that this voice is not your identity. It is simply a habit created by past experiences, disappointments, fears, and repeated thoughts. Just because your mind says something does not mean it is true. Your thoughts should be questioned, not automatically believed. The moment you realize this, you begin to separate yourself from fear instead of becoming a prisoner to it. The way to silence that weak voice is not through positive thinking alone. It is through action. Every time you do something that fear tells you not to do, you weaken its influence. Every difficult conversation you face, every challenge you accept, every discipline you keep when you feel like quitting sends a powerful message to your mind. I am in control. Confidence is not something you wait to feel. It is something you build by repeatedly doing what is difficult. Do not expect that weak voice to disappear overnight. Even after years of training, it may still appear from time to time. The difference is that it no longer decides your actions. It may speak, but you do not have to obey it. A disciplined mind learns to acknowledge fear without surrendering to it. It hears doubt, but continues moving forward with clarity and purpose. Remember, the strongest warriors are not those who never experience fear or uncertainty. They are the ones who refuse to let those feelings become their master. The dangerous mind is not fearless. It is disciplined enough to act despite fear. The day you stop feeding the weak voice inside you is the day your stronger self finally begins to lead your life. When pressure enters a room, it reveals the condition of every mind inside it. Some people become confused, some become emotional, and some lose control before the real problem has even begun. Panic makes the mind narrow. It causes you to see danger everywhere, rush into poor decisions, and waste energy on things you cannot control. That is why calmness is not merely a peaceful feeling. It is a form of power. I learned that the person who remains calm has an advantage before any action is taken. While others are reacting to fear, he is observing. While others are speaking without thinking, he is listening. While others are wasting their strength, he is choosing where to place his energy. A calm mind sees details that an emotional mind misses, and this clarity often becomes the difference between failure and victory. Do not misunderstand calmness. It does not mean that you feel nothing or pretend a difficult situation does not exist. It means you refuse to let the situation control the quality of your thinking. Fear may appear, but you do not allow it to take command. Pressure may rise, but you do not surrender your judgment. You accept what is happening, breathe, observe, and then respond with intention. When chaos appears, most people immediately ask, what if everything goes wrong? A disciplined mind asks a better question. What is the next useful action? This simple shift brings your attention back to the present. You may not be able to solve the entire problem at once, but you can control your next breath, your next thought, your next word, and your next decision. That is how order is created inside confusion. You must practice calmness before the great test arrives. Begin with ordinary moments. When someone speaks harshly, pause before answering. When plans suddenly change, observe your reaction instead of immediately complaining. When fear enters your thoughts, slow down and separate facts from imagination. Every small moment of restraint prepares you for greater pressure later. Remember that panic spreads quickly, but calmness can also influence everyone around you. A person who remains steady gives others confidence. His presence creates space for clear thinking. He does not add more fire to the situation. He becomes the water that brings control back to the moment. A dangerous mind does not become louder when life becomes difficult. It becomes quieter, sharper, and more aware. It understands that losing control will never improve the problem. When everyone else is running in different directions, remain centered. Observe what is real, release what is beyond your control, and move with purpose. The world will test you through uncertainty, conflict, sudden change, and disappointment. You cannot always choose what enters your life, but you can train yourself to choose how you meet it. When you remain calm while everyone else panics, you protect your energy, preserve your judgment, and place yourself in the strongest position possible. An obstacle is only a wall if you decide to stop in front of it. I learned to see difficulty differently. A problem is not always there to block your path. Sometimes it is there to reveal the weakness in your preparation, sharpen your awareness, and force you to become more capable than you were before. Without resistance, the body does not grow stronger. And without struggle, the mind remains soft. Most people waste their energy asking why life has become difficult. They complain about the unfairness of the situation, compare themselves with others, and wish the challenge would disappear. But wishing does not create strength. The moment you stop fighting the existence of the obstacle, you can begin learning from it. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this situation training me to become? Every setback contains information. Failure may show you where your method was weak. Rejection may reveal that you depended too much on approval. Delay may teach patience, preparation, and timing. Criticism may expose either a truth you need to accept or an insecurity you need to outgrow. The lesson is not always pleasant, but if you are willing to study the experience honestly, the obstacle begins to serve you. Do not confuse acceptance with surrender. Acceptance means seeing the situation clearly without wasting energy denying it. Once you recognize what is real, you can adapt. Water does not argue with the rock in its path. It changes direction, continues moving, and eventually shapes the rock itself. The dangerous mind works in the same way. It does not become rigid when the original plan fails. It remains flexible enough to find another path. When you face difficulty, separate what you can control from what you cannot. You may not control the loss, the rejection, the timing, or another person's decision, but you can control your effort, your attitude, your preparation, and your next move. Strength grows when your attention remains on the part of the situation that still belongs to you. You must also resist the temptation to define yourself by one painful moment. A defeat is an event, not an identity. You may fail at something without becoming a failure. You may be rejected without becoming unworthy. You may lose direction without losing your ability to begin again. The mind becomes dangerous when it refuses to turn temporary pain into a permanent belief. Use each obstacle as training. If the challenge requires patience, practice patience. If it demands courage, move even while fear is present. If it exposes a weakness, strengthen that area instead of hiding from it. Each time you respond with awareness instead of self-pity, you become more stable, more adaptable, and more difficult to defeat. Do not ask life to remove every hardship. Ask yourself to become stronger than the hardship. When the obstacle is gone, the strength you built will remain. That is how a dangerous mind is formed, not by avoiding pressure, but by allowing pressure to refine you until the person who entered the struggle is no longer the same person who walks out of it. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you possess, because whatever controls your attention eventually influences your decisions, your habits, and the direction of your life. A distracted mind may be busy from morning until night, yet still move nowhere. It reacts to every sound, every message, every opinion, and every temptation until its energy is scattered in 100 directions. When your focus is divided, your strength is divided with it. I learned that concentration is not simply the ability to stare at one task for a long time. It is the discipline to decide what deserves your energy and what does not. Many people say they want success, strength, or mastery, but they continue giving their best hours to distractions that produce nothing. They allow the urgent to replace the important, then wonder why their goals remain far away. A dangerous mind does not chase everything. It chooses a clear target and organizes its life around it. When the purpose is clear, decisions become easier. You begin to recognize which activities move you forward and which only create the illusion of progress. You stop saying yes to every invitation, argument, and opportunity. You understand that every unnecessary commitment takes time and power away from the work that truly matters. Focus must be protected because the world will constantly attempt to purchase it from you. Notifications, entertainment, gossip, comparison, and other people's demands may seem harmless in small amounts, but together they can train your mind to seek constant stimulation. Soon, silence feels uncomfortable. Deep work feels difficult, and patience disappears. The mind becomes used to jumping from one thing to another without completing anything. To reverse this, begin by creating periods of undivided attention. Choose one important task, remove what can interrupt you, and remain with it until meaningful progress is made. At first, the mind may resist. It may search for an excuse to check something, change direction, or escape discomfort. Do not immediately obey. Bring your attention back. Each return is a repetition in mental training, and each repetition strengthens your ability to concentrate. You must also learn to protect your focus from emotional distractions. An insult, a disagreement, or a negative opinion can occupy the mind for hours if you allow it. Ask yourself whether the matter deserves the energy you are giving it. Not everything requires an answer, and not every person deserves space in your thoughts. Sometimes the strongest response is to continue working while the noise fades behind you. Rest is also part of focus. A tired mind becomes careless and easily distracted. Discipline does not mean forcing yourself without pause until the quality of your work disappears. It means knowing when to apply effort and when to recover so you can return with full awareness. Sharpness comes from balance, not exhaustion. Protect your mornings, because the first part of the day often determines the direction of the rest. Before the world begins making demands, give time to your body, your mind, and your highest priority. Do not begin every day by immediately entering other people's conversations. Begin by remembering what you are building and why it matters. A focused mind gains power because it moves in one direction long enough to create real results. It does not need to rush, impress, or constantly announce its plans. It simply keeps returning to the work. Over time, what appears to others as talent is often only concentrated effort practiced without interruption. Your life follows your attention. Place it on fear, and fear grows. Place it on distraction, and your purpose weakens. Place it on discipline, learning, and meaningful action, and your abilities begin to expand. Guard your focus carefully, because once you learn to direct it at will, you stop living as a reaction to the world and begin shaping your own path with intention. A person becomes easy to control when others understand which emotion can be used against him. If praise makes you careless, criticism makes you angry, rejection makes you desperate, or fear makes you abandon your principles, then someone else can influence your behavior without ever touching you. They only need to press the right emotional button and wait for you to react. I learned that manipulation rarely begins with force. It often begins with observation. People notice what you crave, what you fear, and what you are unwilling to lose. Some will use approval to pull you closer, silence to make you anxious, guilt to make you obey, or anger to make you defend yourself. If you do not understand your own emotional patterns, another person may understand them before you do. This is why self-awareness is protection. When you know what triggers you, you create space between the pressure and your response. You begin to notice when someone is trying to rush your decision, provoke your pride, or make you feel responsible for something that does not belong to you. Instead of reacting automatically, you pause and ask yourself a simple question. Am I choosing this freely, or am I being pushed by fear, guilt, anger, or the need for approval? The person who needs everyone to like him will eventually betray his own values. He will agree when he wants to refuse, remain silent when he should speak, and stay in situations that weaken him because he is afraid of disappointing others. But respect that requires you to abandon yourself is not true respect. A dangerous mind understands that saying no is sometimes necessary to protect time, energy, dignity, and direction. You must also learn not to explain every decision. When you are uncertain within yourself, you may feel the need to justify your boundaries until other people approve of them. But a clear boundary does not require a long argument. You can listen respectfully, consider what is being said, and still choose what is right for you. Calm certainty is stronger than emotional defense. Flattery can be just as dangerous as criticism. Many people prepare themselves for insults but become weak when they receive praise. Compliments can make the ego careless. They can cause you to trust too quickly, reveal too much, or believe that someone supports you when they are only trying to gain influence. Accept appreciation without becoming dependent on it. When you know your own value, praise feels pleasant, but it does not control your judgment. The same principle applies to provocation. Some people do not want understanding, they want a reaction. They may twist your words, question your character, or create conflict simply to pull you away from your center. When you become angry, you begin playing their game. You speak without discipline, reveal your weaknesses, and surrender control of the situation. Silence, distance, or a measured response may protect you more effectively than winning an argument. Becoming impossible to manipulate does not mean becoming suspicious, cold, or closed to everyone. It means remaining open without becoming careless. You can love people without losing yourself, listen without automatically obeying, and forgive without repeatedly allowing the same behavior. Wisdom is not refusing connection, it is recognizing the difference between connection and control. Pay attention to patterns rather than promises. Words can be arranged to create any impression, but repeated behavior reveals intention. If someone continually ignores your boundaries, creates confusion, uses guilt, or punishes you for thinking independently, do not become trapped by what they say they mean. Observe what their actions consistently produce in your life. You must be willing to walk away from anything that requires you to become smaller in order to keep it. Manipulation survives when you are more afraid of losing the relationship, opportunity, or approval than you are of losing your self-respect. The moment you become willing to leave what is harmful, its power over you begins to disappear. A dangerous mind belongs to itself. It does not allow another person's mood to determine its peace or another person's opinion to define its worth. It listens, evaluates, and then decides from a place of clarity. When you no longer need constant approval, fear rejection, or react to every provocation, people lose the ability to move you against your will. You become difficult to control because you have finally learned to govern yourself. A warrior of the mind is not created in one dramatic moment. He is built quietly through the choices he makes every day, especially when nobody is watching. Many people wait for motivation before they begin. They train when they feel powerful, remain disciplined when life is easy, and follow their purpose only when the path is clear. But a strong mind cannot be built on changing feelings. It must be built on principles that remain steady even when your emotions do not. I learned that every day is a form of training. The way you rise in the morning, the thoughts you allow to remain in your mind, the promises you keep to yourself, and the way you respond to difficulty are all shaping the person you are becoming. You do not need a battlefield to discover whether you possess discipline. Your habits reveal it. If you continually avoid discomfort, postpone important work, and surrender whenever progress becomes difficult, you are training yourself to retreat. If you act with purpose despite discomfort, you are training yourself to advance. Begin each day by deciding what kind of person you intend to be before the world begins placing demands upon you. Without a clear direction, your attention will be captured by whatever appears first. You will follow other people's priorities, moods, and expectations while neglecting your own growth. A warrior does not enter the day without awareness. He knows what deserves his energy and remembers why his work matters. Do not measure discipline by one perfect performance. Measure it by your willingness to return. There will be mornings when you feel tired, days when doubt becomes loud, and moments when you fall below your own standard. The weak mind uses one mistake as permission to abandon the path. The trained mind studies the mistake, makes the necessary correction, and continues. Progress is not the absence of failure. It is the refusal to remain defeated by it. Living like a warrior also requires you to become comfortable with necessary discomfort. Growth will often ask you to do what you would rather avoid. You may need to practice while others rest. Remain patient when results are slow. Speak honestly when silence feels safer, or leave behind habits and relationships that no longer support your direction. Discomfort is not always a warning to stop. Sometimes it is evidence that you are moving beyond the boundaries of your former self. At the same time, do not confuse discipline with needless punishment. The warrior respects the instrument he depends upon. He trains the body, protects the mind, and allows proper recovery. He understands that exhaustion without purpose is not strength. Your routine should make you more capable, not slowly destroy the clarity you are trying to develop. Train intensely when intensity is required, rest when recovery is necessary, and remain fully present in both. Examine yourself honestly at the end of each day. Do not ask only whether you were successful. Ask whether your actions reflected your principles. Did you protect your attention or give it away? Did you act from courage or avoid what mattered because of fear? Did you control your emotions, or did they control your behavior? Honest reflection prevents small weaknesses from becoming permanent habits. You must also release the need to appear strong at all times. A warrior of the mind is willing to admit when he is wrong, learn what he does not understand, and begin again without shame. The ego wants to protect an image, but growth requires truth. When you stop pretending to know everything, you become free to improve. Humility keeps the mind open, while pride traps it inside its present limitations. Your daily standards should not depend on applause. There may be long periods when nobody notices your effort, understands your sacrifice, or believes in the direction you have chosen. Continue anyway. A warrior does not require an audience to remain committed. He knows that the work is changing him long before the results become visible to anyone else. Keep your promises to yourself, especially the small ones. Each promise you honor strengthens trust in your own character. Each promise you repeatedly break teaches your mind that your words have no authority. Begin with standards you can maintain, then gradually raise them. Consistency may appear ordinary, but over time it creates an uncommon level of confidence, because you know you can depend on yourself. Remember that the purpose of this training is not to become harder toward the world. It is to become steadier within it. You can remain kind without becoming weak, flexible without losing your principles, and peaceful without becoming passive. The warrior of the mind does not search for unnecessary conflict. He prepares himself so completely that conflict, pressure, and uncertainty cannot easily pull him away from who he has chosen to become. Live each day as if your character is being shaped by every decision, because it is. Your future will not be determined by what you occasionally intend to do, but by what you repeatedly practice. Remain calm when emotion invites reaction. Stay sharp when distraction offers comfort, and continue moving when difficulty tells you to stop. When these choices become your way of life, you no longer need to search for an unstoppable mind. You will have built one. Remember this: a dangerous mind is not built in a single day, and it is not created by motivation alone. It is built every time you choose discipline over comfort, patience over anger, and purpose over distraction. Every challenge you face is another opportunity to strengthen the one thing that truly determines the direction of your life, your mind. Do not measure your progress by how many battles you win against other people. Measure it by how often you win the battles within yourself. The day you no longer allow fear, doubt, or emotion to control your decisions is the day you become truly unstoppable. If these principles challenge the way you think, carry them with you long after this video ends. Train your mind every day, stay calm under pressure, remain sharp in every situation, and never stop becoming a stronger version of yourself. Until next time, keep training, keep growing, and remember, your greatest weapon has always been your mind.